I've spent my life trying to please them, but on my son's birthday, my family showed me just how little I mattered. They skipped his celebration without a second thought, and then, just a week later, they had the audacity to demand $5 million. For my brother's business. That was the last straw. My name is Skylar, and I've always been the one who held everything together in my family. The one who showed up, the one who made sacrifices, the one who did all the things you're supposed to do when you're family, and I never minded. It was what family did, right? Always there, always reliable, always putting others first. But when my son's birthday came around this year, I thought it would be different. I had planned everything, decorations, food, games. I invited everyone, my parents, my brother, all of my aunts and uncles. I wanted him to know what it felt like to be surrounded by people who loved him, to show him that family was about more than just blood. It was about being present, about making memories. But when the day came, I was met with nothing. It started with my parents, no phone call, no text, just a complete silence. I tried to stay positive, assuming maybe they were busy or running late, but as the hours dragged on, I felt that familiar sting in my chest, the one that told me something wasn't right. I called my mom. Mom, is everything okay? We were really hoping you'd come over today. There was a long pause, and when she finally spoke, her voice sounded distracted. Oh, Skylar, I'm so sorry. Something came up. We won't be able to make it today. Something came up. The excuse was always the same. I clenched my jaw, fighting the anger and hurt building inside me. It's just his birthday, Mom. It would have meant a lot if you were here. She didn't even try to soften the blow. Maybe next time, she said flatly before hanging up. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just an empty excuse. I stood there, holding my phone, feeling like I had been punched in the stomach. I had tried so hard to create a moment that my son would remember, and yet, no one showed up. Not even my parents. I tried to keep it together, but the disappointment was crushing. How could they not care enough to show up for something so simple? A birthday, for their grandson. I spent hours getting everything ready, putting my heart into making it special for him, and they didn't even think it was worth their time. I tried my brother next, maybe he would at least make the effort. But when I texted him, asking if he was coming, I didn't hear back. Hours went by, and still nothing. I even called him, but he didn't pick up. I sank into the couch, the weight of everything starting to crush me. It wasn't just about the birthday anymore. It was about feeling invisible, like no matter how much I gave, it was never enough. No matter how hard I tried to please them, to be the daughter and sister they wanted me to be, it was always one-sided. I was always the one putting in the effort, always the one calling, always the one reaching out, but when it came to me, when I needed them, they couldn't be bothered. As I put my son to bed that night, I found myself fighting back tears, not because of the party, but because of the years of neglect I had buried deep down. The years of pretending that I was okay, that I wasn't being left behind. I wasn't just upset about the birthday, I was upset because I had always been there for them, and yet they couldn't even be bothered to show up for something so important to my son and me. When I kissed my son goodnight, I realized that this wasn't just about one birthday, it was about everything, about years of giving, years of bending over backwards for people who never cared enough to show up when it counted. Maybe it was time for me to stop trying to fix everything for them, to stop putting their needs above mine, to stop giving my all to people who couldn't care less. I had always believed that family would be there for me, no matter what, but now I had to face the truth. Family didn't always show up, and sometimes it was okay to walk away. It didn't take long for my family to reach out. After the silence, after the absence, I received the first call. My brother. I hadn't heard from him since the birthday. The weight of it all hit me the moment I saw his name on the screen. I wasn't ready, but I picked up anyway. Maybe he would apologize, maybe he wouldn't. Skylar, his voice was tense, like he had rehearsed what he was about to say. We need to talk. About what? I asked, trying to keep the sharp edge out of my voice, but I wasn't sure I could. He sighed. It's about the business. We've hit a wall, and we need help. I don't know who else to turn to. I sat up straighter. You need help. The words hit me in a way I wasn't prepared for. After everything, after the birthday, after the silence, I didn't expect this. Yeah, I'm in deep. Skylar, the company's sinking, and I'm about to lose everything. I know you've been upset with us, and I get it, but I need you now. I could feel my stomach tighten, a mix of confusion and frustration running through me. You're asking for my help, after everything. I shook my head, though I knew he couldn't see me. After you ignored my son's birthday, you're asking me for help now? There was a pause, and I could almost feel him squirming. I know, Skylar, I know we messed up, but this is different. This isn't just about me. This is about all of us. The family, the business, it's the legacy. We need it to survive. I closed my eyes, my hands clenched into fists, the frustration rising. You think I'm just going to drop everything for you? After everything you've put me through? I'm not your safety net anymore. Jacob, I'm not your backup plan. He didn't respond immediately. The silence on the other end of the line felt deafening. Please, Skylar, he said finally. I'm asking for your help. We need $5 million. To keep it going. If we don't get it, everything's over. I could feel the weight of his words pressing down on me. $5 million. My mind raced, my thoughts spinning, but the anger inside me was too strong to ignore. No, I said firmly, I can't help you, not after everything. Not after you and Mom couldn't even be bothered to show up for my son. Skylar, this is serious. He said a bit louder now. This isn't just about me. This is about the business, about the future. You're the only one who can fix this. I let out a bitter laugh, the sound sharp and cutting. I'm done trying to fix things for you. I'm done making excuses for you. You want my help. You've got to earn it. You don't get to come back into my life just because you need something from me. There was a long pause, and when he spoke again, it was with a defeated tone. You're being selfish. You don't even care about the family anymore. The words stung, but I didn't let them affect me. No, Jacob, I care about my son. I care about my peace, and you know what? I care about my own happiness now. I'm not going to sacrifice it for your business. I could hear his heavy breathing. On the other end, I get it, Skylar, you've made your choice. I didn't respond immediately. There was nothing more to say. I had made my choice too, and it was final. Goodbye, Jacob, I said, my voice steady. I hung up the phone and sat there, my heart racing. The silence that followed was deafening, but this time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was the silence of clarity. I had made the right decision. They had never been there when I needed them. They had never cared for me in the way that mattered. And now, I was done. I wasn't going to let their demands, their expectations, and their toxicity dictate my life anymore. I had been living for them, for too long, trying to earn their approval, trying to fix everything, but no more. I was choosing myself, and that was enough. I didn't expect to hear from them again. But it wasn't long before the calls started. First, it was my mother. Then my brother. Texts came, too, full of vague apologies and empty promises. But the more they reached out, the more my resolve hardened. They didn't care about me. They didn't care about my son. They cared about what they could get from me. And I wasn't going to be their solution anymore. It was hard to ignore the pull of guilt. After everything, I couldn't help but wonder if I had done the right thing. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe I should have been there for them after all. Family was supposed to be there for each other, right? But each time I went back to those thoughts, I remembered the birthday, the silence. I remembered the years of neglect, the years of constantly putting their needs ahead of mine. And I knew, deep down, that I had made the right decision. One evening, I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through social media when my phone rang again. This time, it was my mom. I stared at the screen for a long moment before answering. Part of me was tired of the back and forth. Part of me wanted to put it all behind me. Skylar. Her voice was softer this time, but there was still a hint of guilt. I just wanted to check in. How are you and the baby doing? I could feel the knot in my chest tighten. The baby, my son. They didn't even have the decency to show up for his birthday. And now she was acting like everything was fine. We're fine, Mom, I said, keeping my voice even. But I don't think you really care. Do you? There was a long silence on the other end of the line. I could feel her hesitation. What do you mean? You didn't show up for his birthday, Mom, I said, trying to keep my frustration under control. You didn't even call. You think you can just come in now and pretend like nothing happened? I've spent years trying to make things right, trying to keep this family together. But you've made it clear that none of it matters unless it's convenient for you. Her voice faltered. Skylar, please, don't be like this. We've always been there for you. I shook my head, my jaw clenched. Always, always. When you couldn't even bother to show up for a simple birthday party. You think I'm just going to forgive you for that? There was another long pause. Before she spoke again, her voice quieter. We've made mistakes, Skylar, we know that. But we're family, we need each other. I exhaled slowly, the words cutting deep. I'm tired of being the one who has to fix everything. I'm tired of carrying this family on my back. I've done it for years. And I've got nothing to show for it except hurt and disappointment. I could hear her start to speak again, but I cut her off. No, Mom, I'm done. You can't keep using me like this. I'm not your backup plan. And I'm not going to be your fixer anymore. The silence stretched between us, and for the first time, I didn't feel the weight of guilt that had always followed these conversations. I felt lighter, like a burden had been lifted. "I'm sorry, Skylar," she said, the words sounding hollow. "I really am." I didn't respond right away. There was nothing left to say. I had said everything that needed to be said, and for once, it felt like I wasn't the one begging for something that wasn't coming. "I'll talk to you later," I said before hanging up. For the next few days, I didn't hear from anyone, no calls, no texts. It was quiet, almost too quiet, and for the first time, I wasn't filled with anxiety. I wasn't wondering when they would come back around. I was just breathing. I was free. But then, just as I was starting to think maybe, just maybe, I could finally move on, I got a letter. It was from my brother. I stared at it for a long time. Before I opened it, I knew what it was about. He needed money again. He was desperate. But I didn't feel that old pang of guilt. I didn't feel the need to help him. Not anymore. The letter was full of the same old excuses, the same old manipulations. "Skylar, I know you're upset, but the business is failing. You're the only one who can help. We need you." I threw the letter down on the table, my hands shaking with anger. They hadn't changed. They hadn't learned anything. They still saw me as a resource, someone they could use when it was convenient. But I was done. This time, I wasn't going back. I wasn't going to fix their problems. Not when they had never shown up for me. Not when they had never put me first. I stood up, taking a deep breath. I was done. I was done letting them control my life. I had already made my choice. And I wasn't going to look back. Weeks passed, and I still hadn't heard from my family. The silence, though unnerving at first, eventually became a kind of peace I didn't know I needed. Every text that went unanswered, every phone call that went ignored, it all felt like a weight lifting from my shoulders. I had spent so long begging for their love, for their attention, that I forgot what it felt like to breathe without their expectations hanging over me. Then, one morning, out of the blue, my mother called again. This time, I almost didn't pick up, but I did. "Skylar." Her voice was shaky, almost apologetic. "We need to talk." I didn't answer right away. It was the same routine, the same cycle. They would act like nothing had happened, like they could just come back into my life because they suddenly needed something. But I wasn't that person anymore. I wasn't going to fall for it. "What is it, Mom?" I said, keeping my voice steady. There was hesitation on the other end. I just wanted to say, "I'm sorry, we were wrong, Skylar. You've always been there for us, and we didn't appreciate that. I know we made mistakes, but we're a family. We need each other." I almost laughed. "Now you want to be a family," I said, bitterness creeping into my voice. "After everything, after ignoring my son's birthday, after acting like I don't matter, now you want to talk about being a family?" She was quiet for a moment. I could almost hear the guilt in her voice. "Skylar, I know we messed up and I'm sorry, but we need you. We need you to help with the business. It's failing and we don't know what else to do." I felt the anger rise inside me. The audacity of it. "You want me to help you, after everything? After you couldn't even bother to show up when it mattered? You think I'm just going to drop everything and save you again?" She sounded desperate. "Skylar, please, we're family. This isn't just about the business. This is about us, about our future. You're the only one who can fix this." I took a deep breath, trying to keep my emotions in check. But the words came out before I could stop them. "No, Mom, I'm done. I'm not your backup plan anymore. I'm not the one who has to fix everything for you." There was a long pause. I could feel the weight of everything in the air. "You're being unreasonable," she said, her voice trembling. "You've always been the one who fixed things. Why are you turning your back on us now?" "Because I'm done being used," I said, my voice firm. "I've spent my whole life trying to please you, trying to make everyone happy, and you never appreciated it. You never saw me for who I am. You only saw what I could do for you." I could hear her breathing on the other end of the phone. But I wasn't going to back down. "I'm not your savior, and I'm not going to be there every time you need something. You need to figure this out on your own, because I'm not going to keep carrying you." The silence stretched out, and for the first time, I didn't feel guilty for what I said. I didn't feel like I had to explain myself anymore. I had made my choice, and I wasn't going to let them pull me back in. Finally, my mother spoke again. "I'm sorry, Skylar," she said, but it didn't sound like she meant it. "But you'll regret this. You're walking away from your family." I closed my eyes, feeling a strange sense of calm wash over me. "I'm not walking away from anyone," I said softly. "I'm walking toward my own life, and for once, it's my life that comes first." I hung up before she could say anything else, and as the phone went silent, I realized something. I had won. Not in the way I thought I would, not in the way I had imagined, but in a way that mattered more. I had taken control of my life. I had stopped letting their needs dictate who I was. And for the first time, I could breathe. I stood up and looked around my home, at the life I had built on my own. I didn't need them. I didn't need their approval. I had my son. I had my peace. I had everything I needed, and in that moment, I realized I didn't need to fix them anymore. I didn't need to sacrifice myself for them. I had done that for too long. Now, it was time to live for me.